fellow pirates, man. So we are playing Skull and Bones, and you are watching Banished Souls. So this is your Captain Cryptic Gaming. We've been having some fun over here with these guys that have been coming over from the channel. We've been posting up some little Discord links for those of you who are active and want to play and be a part of a team. We have been just coming up with creative ways to find some of those battles. If you've seen the one below, if not, definitely check that video out after this. We'll make sure that we tab it in at the end of this video, guys. But I wanted to talk about some of this in-game mess right now. So if you look at, we're over in the pirate den right now. We come up to your Helm Empire overview. So there seems to be a question going around because apparently there's a couple videos circulating that you don't have to upgrade Saint Anne past level 5. You want to get there so you can come over and grab Africa, because you're going to be able to grab 4 or 5 territories. So is it 4 or 5? Depends on who you ask. What you want to do is you want to come in and you want to look at areas like this, like Harufu. So this is one of the first territories that opened up. We've got it up to level 8 now, and it is going to connect into quite a bit of stuff in Africa, but it's also connected in quite a bit of stuff over here in the Red Isles as well. So that's something that you want to look at, keep an eye on, and say, hey, what can I do to get the most cash out of this, or the most 8s out of it? Well, until you get 5,000 pieces of 8, that's a pipe dream, guys. You're going to come up 5,000 real quick, and I'm going to show you what I done. So if you come over here, the very first territory that I ended up getting was DuBois Lumberyard. It seemed like it was a mission that the Helm gave you, and you claim it. Then you have to claim like 3 or 4 more for it to actually give you access into your leaderboards and stuff. I think you have to own 5 territories, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. But so what we ended up doing is we get the lumberyard. And then I was waiting. I didn't know anything about the elite or legendary high stuff, and maybe it wasn't even going at that time. I don't know. It took a few days before I even realized that. So I waited, and I seen when this come up, and then I seen when this come up. These were my first 3 interconnecting territories and the potential to go into Africa later. And then I wanted to come up, and I grabbed this, and I grabbed here, and then I ended up coming up and grabbing these, because they connect to each other. People who say that the east side of the Red Isles doesn't connect anything, well, it obviously does. It connects to itself, so that's going to give you some boosts there. So like you can see, we're getting 33% over here, 23% over here, 13% over there. Now what is driving these percentages and stuff? You know, that's kind of a hit and miss. There's a lot of suggestions, but I'm telling you, if you'll focus on these 5 or 6 pieces right here when you first start off, just capture them, run heist, get anything you can, but focus your building on these 3 to begin with, and then add these 2 in it and get those to level 5s. Now you can continue to fund and farm all this if you want. It's going to give you some extra change, but this here is going to be what gives you those 8s to move forward and to further expand into larger areas. You're going to be able to get your sandbucks and stuff like that. You can grind enough from these 5 territories, 6 if you want to add this one in there. You can get enough from those 5 territories where within a day of collection you're going to be able to get a sandbuck print. You'll be able to pull in the 5,000 very easily and then have a little bit more set back. Now you could jump straight over into Africa, but like I said, unless you have the connecting territories here, none of this means anything. And there's a claim that if you have, let's bring it up here. So if you have Pilot Bay Weaver, and then you have this Font de la Bay, then you have Port de Mines, and then of course Karufu, however you pronounce this, and Bandari. Is that Karufu? Harufu. So if you have those areas there, then you're going to be making 60,000 pieces 8 an hour. I don't believe it. The math doesn't add up on it. And all the claims that say that, they won't bring you into this screen. They'll take you into, let me back it out, they'll take you into this screen while they're at sea, and where you see your pieces 8, it's always blurred out. So one of the other things about it is when you look at sovereigns, you can tell how far someone is in their empire. Now they may be spending sovereigns, but there's really not a lot of stuff to spend on sovereigns. But if you come over to the leaderboard, it's going to tell you how many sovereigns you get as a reward over on the left side. Once you hit 140,000 pieces 8 collected, it's going to give you 900. Then you hit 200,000, it's going to give you another 1,000, and so on and so forth. So I mean, if they're up into like 20,000 or something like that, then yeah, they're obviously pretty high up on the board. If they're sitting around 1550 to 3,000, they're saying I've been spending some of those sovereigns, so I know about where we should be at. They've got 3,000 sovereigns, and they're located like 14,000. I can tell you on the rating here, if they're like a 14,000 rank, I can tell you they're not pulling no 60,000 pieces of 8 an hour. It's a lie. So you have to be careful of that when you're watching stuff, guys. I know it's a long grind and I know it sucks. Everyone wants to build their empire and just build it once, but eventually you're going to get bored if you do that. If you remember running Kenway's fleet over on Black Flag to begin with, it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. It keeps this, it keeps all your currencies coming in, the things that you really want and need. Well, eventually you end up getting everything that you can, and you have this big empire, and you're just stalled out and bored. So every season, which is a 3-month season, it sounds like, I don't know how there's going to be a gap between season 1 and season 2. That I don't know. But what I do know is every season you're going to have to rebuild your empire, and every season that you rebuild the empire, you're going to be a little bit better. So I've learned a lot of mistakes in this while I'm playing this. Now, when you start getting these 8s, I can tell you right now, you see what we have. We have 8 here. We have 7. We have some 8s here. Another 7. Then, of course, 8s coming in. Then a couple more 7s. And we will eventually get those up. But right now, I'm focused on when I see these capture points come up, we're going to get those as well. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to show you whether or not we're making 60,000 pieces 8 an hour. That's just a bold claim, and I don't believe it for a second. Now, with those territories, and they own all of this, and they own all of that, and they're all raised up to 10s, sure, you could do to 60,000 an hour, probably pretty easily. But it's going to take you a lot longer than what they're saying, because you're not going to just grab 4 properties over here and then you just grab the outskirt here and boom, guess what? You're now in God mode, plenty of pieces. 8, it doesn't work that way. You have to save, you have to build, and eventually you'll start to get a nice little chunk when you go and collect. So like I think we're at 3743 right now. By the time we come in and collect all this, you're looking at the level 7s. I'm trying to recall what they bring in to be full. So 800 for level 7, 1400 for level 8s that get full. So we're looking at 1600 just on those 2. We'll probably get another 700 out of these as we collect. 1,000 over there. And understand that's for one location. 962, 997, 876. So if all you had was these 5 and you had them up to 8s, you'd be bringing in probably 7,000, maybe a little more pieces 8 just on that run. Then when you start adding in some more 8s and you start connecting over to these areas, it can come up. So you can see we could bring this up, be able to bring some of these other outliners up. But I hope that kind of gives you a little bit more information, guys. You're going to see claims made about the game, and I hear a lot of them. Our Discord guys come in like, hey, have you heard of this guy? We're not naming it off any channels, guys, but it's like, yeah, I've seen some of the videos. Like, what do you think? So I've gone in and taken some of the build ideas that he tells you, and I don't like the builds. I said I've haven't seen anything about his end game, so we went and checked it out, and I'm watching that this morning, and none of it made any sense. Part of it does, where you want to make sure you have those interconnecting supply routes. That's why they light up yellow, folks, in case you haven't noticed that. They light up, and it shows you what kind of a percentage you're getting off each one. So 15% on that one, 15% on this one. You're getting an additional 15% on that one. You'll get 15% here, and so on and so forth. It's going to give you those percentages and stuff. So when you come down into here and you're looking at, there's a lot of lines, but they're all just going to give you a 15% if you have both connecting areas there. Now understand that percentage is going to come up as you, not really that it's going to come up, but it's going to give you more as you're yielding more. So like if you're looking here and we have, say, this area here, it can tell you where it's going to collect to. So you see Harufu and it's going to Shivavu. You got to zoom in so you can see a little bit better, but that's going to tell you where that route's going to connect, which we own it. And then Tanjona, we own that, and again there. So you can bring those percentages up a little bit by increasing the levels of the connecting points. It's going to give you a 15% boost of what you're producing between those guys. It's going to drive that percentage up because it's going to say if you're connected here at Shavu, it's going to currently 65 an hour. We can pick up these other connection points here, which would actually increase that. But once we take that to an 8 and we're putting 72 an hour, you're then going to get that 15% increase. Plus, you can change the types of materials that you're making there, if that makes sense. So we'll show you what I'm talking about, changing materials. So you can do the white skull rum, 65 an hour total rate, or we can do the black lotus opium, which is going to be a 70 per hour rate. So we pop that on there, and it's going to continue to build our banks and stuff up. We're bringing in a higher production rate now, so that's worth doing. One of the things you're going to run into, though, is if you get all of St. Anne up to 8s, and I've got a buddy who actually has most of it up to 8s, he's spending, man, I want to think he said it was like 185,000 in silver. Now I understand that's every, 14 hours, but that's a lot of silver. And people are like, well, I just can't swing it. Well, unless you're planning on buying the torpedoes, maybe you already have, not the torpedoes, I'm sorry, Skurlocks long nines. Unless you've already purchased those, they're not worth it in my opinion, but some people swear by them. But you get those. Well, there's really nothing else you can get from him. So what do you do with your production stuff? Well, what I do with it is I just convert it up to the highest quality that I can, and then I sell it to Skurlock because it's an instant source of silver. You're going to just boom, knock out some silver very quickly with it. So, but I hope this has helped you a little bit, guys. Man, it's one of those things where you got to really take videos with a grain of salt when you see them, and you see someone making a claim that oh, well, we're going to make 60,000 pieces of 8 an hour. Now we do have a guy in our group who is actually in the top 20, and he said that you're not making no 60,000 an hour doing it the way that it said in that video. And I tend to believe him because he is way up in the leaderboard. So if that's something you're looking to do, is join into a crew. And most of our kingpins, we have an area where they can post up what their current kingpin level and your empire. You can take a screenshot of it, post it up. And the reason for that is you're more apt to take advice from someone who shows you where they're at on the leaderboard. So while I'm not number one, I'm definitely not number 20 or even level, the top 1,000. Right now, we're sitting at 2,613 of however many people are playing this game, and there is a bunch of people on here, guys. So, weekly reset on this, it happens. It'll kind of do a little reset on the score. So, it transfers over to seasonal. So, if you're constantly in the 2000s, by the time seasonal come in, you should be around the 3,000 marks, which ain't bad. You figure, I think the last I had heard was they was a reported 850,000 active players at any given time on the game right now. It's the most played, or the second most played game Ubisoft has put out, according to the report. So that's really good. So it means there's enough people there, and we should stay alive as far as our servers and stuff go. I've not seen any slowdown yet. But I hope this helped you out, guys. Y'all have a wonderful day. And definitely comment in if you're, have some questions, or maybe you see a comment or something that can really help us. Definitely let us know. But what we don't want to do is misrepresent facts about, oh, you're going to get unlimited pieces of 8 from this. There's no such thing as unlimited pieces of 8. You still have to fund it. You still have to collect it. You still have to put in the legwork. Now, there's ways you can boost those numbers. And if you're a numbers guy, you can do it real quick. Now, one of the things that's pretty nice is we do know a little bit more about it. So going into a season 2 situation, guys, we will know exactly. We can open up Africa immediately. We can open up, we'll probably have the Red Isle already given to us. My plan is open Africa. I'm going to focus on my connecting points next time. I want to make sure I've got plenty of pieces of 8 set up so we can get the key points upgraded and just be capturing both as you go. You should be able to do them probably within, I want to say, there used to be a way you could see exactly how many properties or territories are here. It's not showing now. We can count it out. But it does show you how many connecting routes that you've made. 24 of 96. So obviously those are going to be routes here, and you're going to be boosting up this percentage, the overall percentage for an area, as you make those connections. So we've got a connection in Africa here, so we now get 23%. We've got connections in Africa that come down from here, so you're looking at 23%. We don't really have any connections in Africa here, so it's only 18%. So that's going to drive those percentages up as well, but still 18% is better than 0%. So definitely claim the areas while you're running around. Whether you upgrade them or not, which ones you upgrade is up to you. But if you're just getting started, get you 5 level 5s. You're going to need them, and it's going to fund your expeditions to build new armor or whatever, the weapons and the ship blueprints and so on and so forth, and that's the way you're going to do it. No one came in and collected one area and boom, suddenly they had 20,000 pieces. I don't think anybody's had that kind of luck. Maybe doing a helm wager, but you got to build it, man. And to me, it's the best way to build is you start. It's going to be a while before you get into Africa. You can build this. Now, it could be a situation where you go in at the next season reset, and I would wait till that, guys. Just fill it up the way you can. At the seasonal reset, the first things I'm going to do is hit some of these in Africa and get these territories. Now, you can see like this territory here, it's got a few routes, but not very many. And you've got a few back up in here, and these always come up for grabs. I've just been trying to focus on the outer point, but I think I'm just going to collect anything and everything that pops up now. So we do have a helm wager here, it looks like, or a hostile takeover. We could come down and deal with it, but I gotta do my collections. Y'all have a wonderful day. I am going to hop off of here, and thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell to stay up on all helpful tips on Skull and Bones.